Here we have everything we need to make the wooden helicopter project or wooden propeller project. We have our directions, we have our wood blank, we have the stem or the handle, ruler, pencil, we have our twist drill that we're going to use to drill our hole, our 3 different types of files. We have a rasp, a coarse double cut, and a smooth single cut file. We also have a piece of 120 grit sandpaper and wood glue. Let's get started. Our directions tell us to locate our block of wood for propeller, measure and mark halfway distance. So we got our block of wood. We're going to take our ruler. We're going to measure how long it is. This one is, if I can get that in the camera there, this one is 5 15/16. So if I can do the math, 5 15/16, what is half of that? That would be 2 and, see here, 2 and 30 seconds. It's close enough to 3 inches. We're going to go right in between there, right by 3 inches. That's my design. Yours might be a different length, so measure yours accordingly. If yours is 5.5 inches long, 6.5 inches long, whatever, yours is going to be different. Find the center of yours. And then we want to flip to the next page, rotate and find the middle from the opposite direction. So now we're going to go across the skinny way here. You can see the project, we want to lay flat. We don't want it standing vertically and really skinny here. We don't want to use this edge. We want it to lay flat like this, so our propellers are flat and wide. So we're going to measure across the width here. This one measures 7/8 across. Half of 7/8, remember, if you want to find the half of a fraction, we want to double the denominator. So this is 7/8, so half is 7/16. I just line up my ruler really well, find 7/16, put a mark there. Where those two intersect, that is where I'm going to drill my hole. Here we are at the drill press. We're going to drill our 1/4 inch hole right on center. It says to drill a 1/4 inch hole all the way through at the intersection of your lines. Before we do that, I'm going to show you a little bit of a way we can ensure that our drill bit goes on center. If we take our project, we're going to grab what's called a scratch-all from the hand tools cabinet. They're located on the door of the cabinet. So if we take this scratch-all, it's a nice sharp pointy tool, we're going to place it directly on that intersection point, and we're just going to give it a nice gentle press down. Do this on one of the benches, that way you have something hard to push against. You might want to take it, give it a little tap. I'm not going to do it here on the drill press table, but you'd give it a little tap to make sure you have that indented a little bit. That way the drill bit finds it easier. And then we'll take our clamp, we'll open our jaws. So here's our clamp. You remember, spin these like a bicycle. We'll open our jaws. We'll put our project in between our jaws here. And then we'll clamp down so that we drill right on center. Just like that. Just like that. Now we can drill right through that center mark. Here we are. I have it all lined up. As you can see, it's lined up. Hold our clamp, turn it on, drill through. Once you're through, let it retract, turn the machine off, wait for the bit to stop, and then you can pull your project away. Before you take out the clamp, pull your project away, and then make sure, did you drill all the way through? Yes, yes I did. Now we can take it out of the clamp. Now we're ready to move to the next step. The next step says, if you are right-handed, draw a line from the upper right-hand corner to the lower left-hand corner. Top left-hand corner to the to lower right-hand corner if left-handed. So you just do opposite if you're left-handed. I am right-handed, so and this piece I chose for my demo because it has a nasty groove in it. So we're going to go from the top right-hand corner to the lower left-hand corner.
Take your pencil. You might want to use a straight edge if you can't draw a straight line. Line up the opposite corners.
Draw your line across. So I went from the top right to lower left. Now we're going to flip it end for end, just like this, just like you spin the helicopter blade. You're going to go top right to lower left. There you go. I don't know how well you can see that, but I have top right to lower left. Our next step, draw a line about a ½ inch on both sides of the hole. Repeat on the other side. So I'm going to take my ruler, I'm going to mark the center mark here. I'm just going to line that center mark up with any hole number. And I'm just going to go ½ inch to the right, ½ inch to the left. Do the same to the other side. Line up my center of my hole to whatever hole number I want. I, for some reason, chose 4 inches. ½ inch to the right, ½ inch to the left. There we go. You can use a square if you want to square those across, or we can just eyeball them and get them close. All right, let's find out what the next step is. The next step, we're going to put our piece in a vise, and then we're going to use the rasp or a double cut file to sand to our line. So we're going to sand parallel to our line to create the angle for our propeller. The rasp is going to sand much faster, give you a worse finish. The double cut file, a coarse file, is going to sand slower but give you a better finish. So let's get set up for that. Here we are at our clamp, we have our vise, we have it clamped down. We're going to sand parallel to our line here with our rasp. Make sure it's clamped in nice and tight. Using our rasp, we're going to go parallel to our line, or in the same direction as our line. And we're going to sand file all the way down to our line. When you are filing down, you want to stay parallel with your line. You want to stay slightly off your line. And as you file down, you want to make sure that the distance is the same between your filed edge and the saw cut edge. Make sure the distance is the same on the top and the bottom. That way you know you're filing parallel. Make sure it is the same on the top side here and on the front side here. Make sure that distance is the same so we know we're filing parallel and you're not filing at a funny angle. Once you have one side done, you're going to flip to the back side. Now if we look at our blade, it is parallel to our line. I have a fairly good distance, a thickness still. If this gets too thin, it is going to break. So I make sure we still have quite a bit of thickness there. And I am just very roughly filed it to size. Now we're going to flip it over and do the other side. Here I have my propeller, my helicopter, filed down parallel to my lines. And I filed down very, very close to my ½ inch mark there. I've done all 4 sides of my blade. Now our next direction says to smooth it with a finer file and sand. So now I'm going to come through, I just used my rasp. Now I'm going to come through with the double cut file or the single cut file and then sandpaper to make it smooth. Put it back in the clamp. Clamp down on your project over the part where you put your handle in. Don't clamp on a blade, you will wreck it. Clamp on the larger portion. Use a hand to support the back side of your blade, because at this point they're starting to get thin, and they will get kind of they'll vibrate a lot, and they'll move around quite a bit. So hold one hand on the back side of your blade of your propeller. Use the other hand on the file to make it nice and flat. Next thing we want to do is make sure when we're filing this to our final shape, we don't want to be curving our file as we're going across it. If we curve our blade, it's not going to move the air as well. So you want to hold it nice and parallel, make the blade as flat and smooth as possible. At this point, if you're not down to your 1/2 inch mark, the double cut files cut on the end as well as the face, so we're going to use that end to file with. Once we have that nice and flat with our file, here's our sandpaper, and we can sand it smooth. When you sand it smooth, go all the way around, even the front side of the blade. Wrap around. We don't want any sharp edges, just in case we fly these and it comes back and hits you. We don't want them to be sharp. We're going to go around all of our sides and do that exact same process. So I've done this side and made it nice and smooth. We're going to do this side and our other 3 sides. Sand it all nice and smooth, and then we'll attach our handle. Our next step is to locate the wooden dowel. That is what we're going to use for our handle. After that, if I can turn this page, place wood glue towards the end of the dowel. So I'm going to take my wood glue. We do not need a lot of wood glue here. A little bit goes a long ways. Just put a little glob at the end of our stick here, at the end of our dowel. I'm just going to take my finger, I'm going to rub it all the way around. Right there on the end. Now we're going to place our dowel through the hole of our project. Slide in until it's even. Allow 10 minutes to dry. I'm going to take my propeller here, whatever side I want up. This side had that little notch in it. I think that's kind of ugly, so I'm going to keep that side down. This side I think is just prettier, so I'm going to put that side up. I'm going to put my dowel in from the bottom side. Slide it in. If you need to give it a little tap, go grab a mallet. You can see I don't have it flush yet, so I'm going to grab a little mallet quick and tap it down. I grabbed the leather mallet, and now I'm just going to hold it flat on the table. Tap it down, you'll hear it. It sounds like it hits solid. I flip it over, it's nice and flush. What we can do before this glue dries, we can go grab a wet paper towel. All this glue here, we're going to wipe this glue off with a wet paper towel. This glue is water-based, so if your towel is wet and you wipe it up, you should be able to remove any marks of the glue. If you did not use a wet paper towel and you just use your finger or a dry towel, you would still have glue embedded around the outside edges here, and it still would look funny when it dries. But the wet paper towel kind of makes sure that we wipe off any of the glue marks that might be left behind. Wait 10 minutes before flying. That is the last page. We are done with your project. When we go to launch it, you'll spin it one way and you won't feel a breeze on your hand. You'll spin it the other way and you will feel a breeze on your hand. It means that's the way you want to spin it when you launch it. So if I spin it right now, if I spin this way, I don't feel a breeze on my hand. If I spin that way, I do feel a breeze. That will be the way I spin it when I launch. But again, give it 10 minutes to let it dry.